Hey there and welcome. This is Scott from Limitless, and you are listening to our podcast on high performance habitudes. Habitudes, taking your attitude, seeing what the resulting habits are, and the results you get out of your life. That's what we do in this podcast here. And today's topic we're talking about is energy cycles. And as I'm talking about energy cycles, I think it's like the 17th day of rain here in Vancouver. I haven't seen the sunshine. I don't know about once in the new year. And so energy is a neat thing to try to get through as the days are short and always rainy. But that's not the type of energy cycle that we're actually going to talk about today. We're going to talk about entrepreneurs who would love to have more energy, who, we're passionate about what we do. We've got a lot of stuff to do. We work weekends and evenings. And a lot of the time, it's energy that we'd love to have, and not just staying awake energy, but that energy where you're on top of your game. You can take on whatever comes at you. And so today we're going to take a look at what a typical day rises, because there's this great book out right now. It's called When by Daniel Pink. And it's all about the circadian rhythms that we all have in our body, and we all have them. So what we're trying to do is very much match the tasks that we have to do as entrepreneurs, everything from the strategy sessions to the sales meetings to the tactical tasks to the books. And if you're a solopreneur, you're doing it all. We want to match our rhythms of our day to the task that we have so that we get the best result of it. So here's a high-level overview of what the research has shown, is that regardless if you're a night owl or you're a morning lark, in other words, if you're a morning person or an evening person, we have the same trough or same pattern of three things that happens with us. One, we get up, and after a short period of while, we have our peak. We have our peak, and it lasts for 3 to 4 hours, where in our mind, we have a lot of, let's call them soldiers, who protect us from distraction, who help us focus. You know how you get up and you can do that heavy mental lifting. And then after that 3 hours, then it drops off. It's called the trough, and the trough can last for another 2 or 3 hours. And that's simply, where you just get tired. Your brain needs a scrub, a clean. It's sort of like, a break in between. If you ever play any sports, it's the break between periods. And then the third part of the day is the rise again, where you've had a chance to power down for just a little bit, and you rise up again, and you have some good hours towards the end of the day. The question is, as an entrepreneur, we always need more hours, okay? So we can't create more hours, but we can use our time more effectively. And so now what kind of, tasks do we do depending on what these cycles are? And again, it doesn't matter if you get up at, I know one entrepreneur gets up at 4:44 a.m. and that's their part. And so they've got that great energy boost for the next, 3, 4, 5 hours. There are other entrepreneurs, night owls, who get up at 10 or 11, and they really start hitting their stride around noon. So it doesn't matter where that happens. It's those 3 to 4, 5 hours after you get up where you are at your analytical best. Okay, this is when you're at your sharpest. So if you have to have a sales meeting, if you have to have a key strategy meeting, those kinds of things, then this is a great time to do this kind of thing. There's in the book, it's kind of scary, and it's all about hospitals. And what they did, and it's in the U.S.-based study, is they took a look at hospitals all across the U.S., and they took a look at fatalities based on surgery, where there shouldn't have been fatalities on surgery or post-op care. And what they found out was that the rate of incident of infection, the rate of incident because of surgical error, was so more pronounced in the afternoon hours, i.e., from 1 to 4 or 5 p.m., than it ever was in the morning, that it led everyone to believe, I never want to have surgery in the afternoon again. It's the morning. And the number that they came up with, and I know numbers are, can be fudged in all kinds of ways, but they said there was approximately 35,000 unnecessary deaths in the U.S. every year because of surgeries in the afternoon where somebody hadn't scrubbed up properly, their mind wasn't as sharp, so they missed removing this, or the surgery wasn't performed on a as high a level as it would have been in the morning. So the thought is that we are at our analytical, mental heavy lifting best early in the day. And so then what happens, in most entrepreneurs, how many of you actually have lunch? Okay, let me ask this question. How many of you actually have lunch at a desk, or you're in the car and beside you is a pile of soggy sandwich wrappers, those types of things, while you're on the phone? And they say, 10, 15 years ago, people were admired for that. They get up at 7, they go till 10 at night, and they keep on going. What a machine. Boy, are they producing productivity. Well, the statistics show that while they're doing this, the quality of work that they're doing is nowhere near the value that they're losing because they're making mistakes along the way. In other words, they can do all that, but they're not going to get the same quality work as if they focused on a couple of changes, some alterations in the way they could actually do the work. For example, at lunchtime, research shows that the best kind of lunch you can have is an out of office, get out and walk, and have a restorative break where you're not actually talking about work. Why is this of value to you as an entrepreneur? It's because it's like a bath for your brain. It gets scrubbed down. All the overwhelming information from social media, the internet, meetings that you've had. If you get away for lunch, and lunch, half an hour to 45 minutes, it scrubs your brain down. It allows it to clear itself out so that when you do engage in the afternoon again, it's an awful lot stronger. I remember when I was speaking of wildlife, and I used to have to work with lions and tigers and all kinds of animals that if I wasn't on my game, all kinds of things could happen. And I do remember one time I was cleaning out an enclosure of a mountain lion in the afternoon, and I knew this cat, mountain lion, she was an estrus, she was in heat. And I went in the afternoon and I just thought, I'll just get this done. Well, before I knew it, pounced, she was on my back. This was not a time to be in the enclosure with a mountain lion. I always, after that, thankfully, all my digits were still intact. I have a nice zipper scar on my back from that incident. I did all my work with the big cats in the morning when I was at my alert best. As a matter of fact, in the afternoon, that is the most dangerous time of living in many ways. The highest rate of incidents for car accidents, one is 2 to 3 a.m., and you can understand fatigue there. But the other is 3 to 4 p.m. every day. This is the trough where people actually hit out. So as an entrepreneur, what can you do to actually mitigate, reduce the effect of the trough? Because I don't want to lose 4 hours every day. Here's a couple suggestions that the research suggests. Is one, work 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break where you get outside and walk and allow that blood to circulate. Don't take your phone. Number two, take a refocus break so that if you're going to get involved in something that is actually very important, before you just go into it, stop, take a break. If you're going in with a partner or somebody like that, talk about the steps so that you can refocus your brain. In your morning, your brain can do that on its own. In the afternoon, you actually have to pause, command from your brain, hey, I need you now. Come on, let's get on with this and take the time. And the other part is it's a really interesting piece. It's been up and down in terms of acceptance, for hundreds of years. The Spanish siesta, not fiesta, shows you where my mind is, but the siesta, where you take naps. And, I believe, 10, 15 years ago, Spain sort of took away the siesta because their economy was really suffering. When in fact, they may have been onto something because it's been scientifically shown to be very beneficial if done correctly. The siesta, in other words, having a nap. And here's how you do a nap that's correct. If you have something for 5 minutes or less, very minimal effect on their brain. If you have something for more than 30 minutes, there's biochemicals get released into your brain that create that groggy kind of feeling, and then it takes a while for you to get back up. Ideal length of a nap, 20 to 25 minutes. And if you take a look online, a lot of very high-performing companies allow that to happen. So get over the idea that having a nap is for lazy, sloth-like people. The studies show that nappers, regular nappers, outperform those who don't nap in all kinds of things, including of quality of work and creativity of work. And if you really want to get the biggest bang for your buck, have that cup of coffee, that can of Coke, health factors ignored there, just before you go to have your nap, because it takes that 25 minutes for the caffeine to reach your system. So when you do wake up from that 20-minute nap, the caffeine's hitting your system and you're back on your game a lot faster than that. So, take a restorative nap, take a break that allows you to refocus, but don't just plow through those heavy lifting things. If you are somebody who has control over your schedule, make sure that you allow yourself to do that, and then you can bring your performance level in the afternoon. Now, by the time 4 or 5 o'clock, hits, then your brain is coming back up. It's allowed itself to have that trough, and it's getting ready for the evening. Here's one other interesting statistic to show you the difference between morning and afternoon. In parole reviews in penitentiaries across North America, people who had their parole hearing in the morning, regardless of their crime, were 20% more likely to be granted parole in the morning than in the afternoon. Again, people are happier in the morning, less happy in the afternoon. And sometimes just being aware of that, you can make a big difference. So make sure that you take those breaks so that you are as close to your morning level as you can in the afternoon. Now, as I mentioned, in evenings, alertness comes back, but it's not as intense as it is in the morning. What they have shown is that, in terms of the type of tasks that are suitable for evening, is that creative work, that synergistic piece. There aren't as many guards around the analytical part of your brain, if you will, and so that allows for a creativity. Pieces from different parts of your puzzle of your life can come together, and often solutions are found for complex problems that can't be found during the regular day. And the final piece that they were really suggesting is that regardless, as an entrepreneur, whether you are going to work the next day or not, and let's face it, for a lot of entrepreneurs, we go to work almost every day, try and keep the same sleep cycles, regardless of whether you're working or not. Okay, if you go to bed at 10:30, you get up at 6:30, Monday to Friday, try to do that on the weekend. Keep those circadian sleep cycles and energy cycles consistent so that your body is not constantly adjusting. So a shorter one today, but I hope, as entrepreneurs, what is more important to us than, good quality energy that we can bring to every day. So in summary, number one, logic and heavy mental lifting in the morning, and whenever that is for you. Again, 8 a.m., 4 a.m., or 12 p.m. You will have your best hours after you get up. Get out for lunch and walk, put the phone away. There's a great practice. Afternoon, take restorative breaks like little short naps of 20 to 25 minutes and refocus. Evening, creativity. You're better at creating new stuff for yourself. And point number 5, keep the same sleep cycles. I know that is a challenging thing on weekends, etc. But hey, we're entrepreneurs. There's few things in our life that we love more than our work. Hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.